This is T. West. Welcome to AfroSynergy, news and information on Africa and the African diaspora. Why are ex-American and European leaders flocking to Africa?
Now to a CNN exclusive. The former President Bill Clinton is on the latest of a series of visits to Africa.
Let me quickly ask you about your interest in Africa.
The continent of Africa has 7 among the world's 10 fastest growing economies in the world. Britain's economy has virtually a negative economic growth rate. In part, this is due to African countries now receiving better rates for their goods and services sold to foreign countries.
Generally, and there's some critics who have questioned why you've taken Africa up as perhaps one of the key issues that you address it as a statesman, if you like. And they argue that, well, the Middle East hasn't worked out too well. Your popularity, by your own admission, has taken a beating as a result of events in Iraq. And it's in Africa that you still have friends.
During the Bush-Blair era, both of them knowingly lied about WMDs in Iraq with the intent of appeasing corporate oil and gas corporations. These lies led to America and its European allies killing more than 1.5 million Iraqis and setting the country on a path of ongoing internal terrorist attacks that have left thousands of Iraqis dead. Neither Bush nor Blair has been brought to book for these crimes against humanity inflicted upon the Iraqi people. The European-created International Criminal Court has made no effort to prosecute Bush or Blair for these crimes inflicted upon the Iraqi people.
Where the Clinton Family Foundation is active in several initiatives, has done very important work in saving lots of lives. He sat down with CNN's Nima El-Bagher in Rwanda. That's the scene of one of his biggest regrets, failing to act back in 1994 when he was in the White House when it came to the genocide that unfolded there.
The French and the Americans were complicit in what happened in Rwanda, in the so-called Hotel Rwanda, the genocide that occurred there.
You know, I do have friends in Africa and many different parts of the world, but the reason I'm passionate about Africa is the reason I always have. I mean, if you remember, I put it on the G8 summit in 2005. I set up the Africa Commission. I actually made the commitment that we should increase our aid as a country to 0.7% of GDP. I did all this because I believe in it.
You should no more believe this lie than you did the lie Blair and Bush told about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Who are these African friends? Perhaps we need to evaluate if these friends are even friends of Africa or more friends of European dying money and other European comforts.
You have spoken about the enduring impact that, as you said, not intervening at the right time, as you put it, has had on you. How much has that informed your engagement with the continent?
I'll never forget, I went to a little village outside Kigali where the government was giving land to people only if they agreed to live next door to someone of the opposite ethnic group. And I saw these 2 women holding hands. One woman had lost her husband, her brother, her sister-in-law. And the woman she was holding hands with, her husband was one of the relatively few people in prison awaiting trial under the War Crimes Tribunal. They had decided to make the future together, and there's countless stories like this here. I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of people who were willing to basically wake up every morning and imagine a future radically different from their past and then live it. Now, that's a precious commodity, and I thought we ought to maximize it.
The voice of master deceiver, Bill Jefferson Clinton, a man who supported terrorists in Yugoslavia to promote a savage corporate agenda, hiding behind what would be later dubbed right to protect. This is the same Bill Clinton who added his voice to that of his wife, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, to solicit war against Libya based on lies of protecting Libyans from Gaddafi. Look at the state of Libya today. It is far worse off than it ever was. This is what they bring: death and destruction in the false name of peace, liberty, and democracy. Just look at the results.
And yeah, the Middle East is very challenging right now, but I'm going to carry on working on that too.
With a smug face, Tony Blair continues to make his rounds with the media, promoting death and destruction for corporate profits. In Syria, he supports the terrorist organizations trying to overthrow the Syrian government with money and arms provided to them by the United States, Britain, France, and members of the Arab League. All of this are crimes against humanity. They shall be judged even now today. George W. Bush is in the hospital having a heart stent put in his heart. Judgment shall be swift. You men shall not get away with your crimes.
And this is your 9th trip to
Yeah.
Africa.
Since I left office.
What keeps you coming back?
I like it. I like the people. I like this enduring sense of roots, community, obligation to family, obligation to village, obligation to nation. I like all these bright young people that believe they can make a huge difference.
For Black America, you cannot sit by while men such as this and others beneath them go to and promote their corrupt agenda in Africa. You must prepare yourselves to be engaged in Africa. These men and women come to push their agenda, and that agenda includes homosexuality, bestiality, and other behaviors that are not a part of the family, and other things that Bill Clinton says he likes about Africa and keeps him coming back. Africa must not be a getaway for white men and women to turn tricks with children and the innocent.
So this isn't about repairing one's reputation. This isn't about building relationships in places where the people still have an admiration and respect.
People,
for
one of the
who
things
you are.
that people should always understand is the world too is a big place, right? I do a lot in China today. I do a lot, obviously, in the United States of America.
You're in Guinea as well.
I'm in 7 different, the AGI is in 7 different African countries, and it's going extremely well. But I'm committed to it because I'm committed to it. And what we do, by the way, which is, also innovative and different.
What's really different is that China's relations with Africa has quickly outflanked that of Western Europeans and the United States. China did it without enslaving and colonizing Africans. China is doing it without a military presence in Africa. China is doing it without using phony constructs such as democracy and jingo terms such as liberty, justice, institutions, rights, transparency, etc. China is doing it by being a true partner in Africa, not like what we saw in the Ivory Coast, in Libya, in Mali, and in Somalia.
Just give me a little thing, and I will move the world.
The reality is that in the 21st century, Africa, with its vast resources, immense potential, young population that is itching to learn and work, along with a China that is a partner, the future looks very bright for a people who have been used all around the world to build the wealth of industry in nations. This time, they build for themselves, and with their diaspora peoples, scattered into the Gentile nations through slavery and then through economic immigration necessities.